Okay, in this section, we are going to look at properties of a rhombus, rectangle, and square. And so I want to make sure that you have already watched this video. So in this video, I filled out the properties of a rectangle, rhombus, and square. And so the one thing I just want to mention, we are trying to prove shapes are certain classifications, like a square, a rhombus. So I talked about in the last video, because rectangle, rhombus, and square are underneath a parallelogram, that means they are a parallelogram in addition to all these items. So sometimes we have to prove a shape is a parallelogram before we can prove it's a rectangle, all right? But we do have a few theorems that we're going to start with that allow us to go straight from a four-sided shape to, say, a rectangle or a rhombus or a square. So these are the corollaries here at the top. And so the terminology or the language in the corollaries are kind of important. So they are in the form of biconditionals. Do you see this if and only if? So a biconditional is a true statement. I like to think of it as a true statement forward and backwards. Okay, so it says a quadrilateral is a rhombus if and only if it has four congruent sides. So that also means that if you have a shape with four congruent sides, is also a quadrilateral, which kind of makes sense. I mean, we've got the four congruent sides, but we are going to be able to say that if I see four congruent sides, then it's a rhombus. I don't have to prove it's a parallelogram, okay? So ABCD is a rhombus if and only if these four sides are equal. Okay, same thing on rectangles. We have a corollary. A quadrilateral is a rectangle if and only if it has four right angles. So look at this shape here. If I see a four-sided shape with four right angles, I can conclude it's a rectangle. I don't have to prove it's a parallelogram first. I can go straight from quadrilateral to rectangle. Okay, now a square says a quadrilateral is a square if and only if it is a rectangle or a rhombus and a rectangle. So what I see here are the four 90-degree angles and then the four equal sides. Okay, so if I can show, what I have to do for squares is I have to show that it is a rectangle and a rhombus first, and then I can say, yes, it's a square. So we're going to be doing that throughout several of these examples. Okay, number one, classify the special quadrilateral. So classify means be specific. Is it a parallelogram? Is it a rectangle? Be the most specific you can. We're going to explain our reasoning. Okay, and oftentimes these corollaries are the reasoning. Okay, and then we're going to go on and find the values of x and y. Okay, here's what I see. I see a four-sided shape. I see four equal sides. So I'm going to be able to conclude here that it's a rhombus. All right, and so really my explanation I'm going to do is I'm just going to say PQRS is a rhombus because it has four equal sides. Oops, let me write that a little bit better. Because it has, now I'm going to abbreviate, four congruent sides. Okay? All right, so there's my classification. My classification is it's a rhombus. My explanation is that it has four equal sides based on that corollary above. Now let's find x and y. Okay, so I see x is on the side lengths. Well, if these guys are equal, then I can just set an equation or write an equation that sets those sides equal to each other. Okay, so I've got 5x plus 6 equals 8x. So I will take away 5x from both sides. And so 8 minus 5 would give me 3x, and then divide both sides by 3. So x is going to equal 2. All right, for y, y is along an angle here, and the only other angle I have is over here. Excuse me. So because a rhombus is also a parallelogram, I'm going to go back here. Because a rhombus is also a parallelogram, I can use parallelogram properties. So I know in a parallelogram that the consecutive angles are supplementary. So what I have here, P and Q are consecutive angles. So I can set it up with a supplementary relationship in order to solve. Oops. So I can say that 12y minus 1 plus 97 equals 180 degrees. All right, so 12y plus 96 is 180. I'm going to take away 96 from both sides. That's going to give me 84. And then when I divide by 12, 84 divided by 12 gives me 7. Okay, so you're going to need to reference back your parallelogram properties. All right, will you pause this video and I'd like you to try letter B. Okay, let's classify. I see a quadrilateral. I see that it has 4 equal sides, so that makes it a rhombus. I see that it has 4 90-degree angles. That makes it a rectangle. Therefore, it's a square. So I'm going to just summarize here, and I'm going to say that KLMN is a square. And I'm just going to maybe put a colon here. I'm just going to say 4 congruent sides and 4 congruent angles. So I could also say because it's a rectangle and a rhombus, but I sort of explained what those were there. Okay, let's solve for x. X is on my side lengths, and I just said the sides were equal. So you want to set them equal. So if I take away 2 from both sides, I have 2x. If I add 7, that gives me 8. So it looks like I get 4 for x. And then for y, all right, so 7y plus 3, this arrow is pointing right here in this angle. So I'm going to go back here to the properties. So a square has all the above properties. So I want you to focus your attention on this property right here. The diagonals in a rhombus are going to bisect the vertices. Okay, that means they cut the vertices in half. And the vertices are angles. So if I come back here, if this is a 90-degree angle, the one I'm pointing to is half of that. So the one I'm pointing to is 45 degrees. So in a square, you are going to have bisected angles, and they're 45. So I can then set 7y plus 3 equal to 45. So add over 3, or I'm sorry, take away 3. And then divide by 7, so I will get 6. Okay. All right, let's go on to number 2. Actually, I'm going to stop this video because the next few examples are going to require some explanation to them, so I don't want to make this video too long. So